Hello, Peep. 4:18. Sorry, I was a few minutes late. I had to get myself some iced coffee to pump myself up for this live chat. Anyhow, I was going to do a live chat tomorrow. That was the plan. But given the situation that we had today with the market, I figured why not do it now instead of say 10 a.m. tomorrow during the time when the market open. Too many things going on, too busy that I prefer to watch the market and deal with my clients, answering phone calls, doing emails instead of sitting here chatting. Right now, the market is closed. At least I can talk in peace without having my phone go off the hook. Hello, Ocasio Consulting, Todd Hobeck, Vernon Johnson, Good Days Gold. Who else is here? I think that is it. Colt Glass is here as well as Azores Tiger. Luis Ramirez is here as well. Well, welcome. Ugly day today. It's been an ugly. Gosh, the last time I had to check. The last time I had a chat was 4 business days ago. Was it last Friday? I can't remember. It was. I think it was last Friday during the day that I had the chat. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah, time seemed to fly so fast, especially when it's ugly like this, right? So anyhow, I hope everybody had a good. Well, it's no way to have a good day unless you short the market. That being said, if you go back and watch or remember my live chat that I had, was it back in February 17th, which is roughly 3 weeks ago? I warned, I was concerned about how the coronavirus is going to bleed the economy and create havoc. We have panic now, okay? I talk about how the first quarter of 2020 is going to be a negative growth. And I was hoping and crossing my fingers that somehow this virus will show containment. We show containment by the end of March so that this problem does not bleed into the second quarter, because in that chat, if you remember, I talked about how a recession is 2 quarters of negative GDP. Right now, the market is looking that way. Okay, the stock market tend to front run the economy. Okay, it's very rare that the stock market is behind. Okay, the market tend to be way ahead of the low point of the economy. For those that remember the stock market crash of 2008, the stock market crashed in 2008 and bottomed out in early 2009. And for those that remember, we didn't hit the bottom in the economy until like sometime in 2010. So it was way ahead of the crashing economy. Okay, so keep that in mind. The stock market is down roughly 25%, from its high in literally 2 weeks. Unprecedented. This is one of the worst crash that I have experienced in my lifetime. And for those in your 20s, if you are in your 20s, okay, surely you are too young to remember the stock market crash of 2008, 2009. I don't blame you, okay? You have never been through one of these before, okay? If you're in your 20s, mid-20s, surely you're way too young to remember. The stock market in 2008 and 2009 declined something like 37, 38%, okay? Just give you a context of how bad things were, okay? It was pretty ugly. We are roughly 25%, so can we go down 10+% from here? Yeah, Why not, right? Yeah, so Vernon Johnson, yeah, a lot of younger people, a lot of that's just the nature of we as a species. When I talk to younger people in their 20s that knew nothing about a stock market crash, that have never been through a situation where there's job loss, there is pain and suffering, they just don't know. And a lot of time that naive that, that naive kind of sensibility is very hard for me to deal with, because I, being 53 years old, have been through, let me count for you, four. This is the fourth time the stock market crashed 25% or more in my lifetime. 1987, 1987, I was sophomore, junior year in college when the stock market crashed. And when I graduated in 1989, I can tell you, job was horrible. I moved to Boston after I graduated, and the job market was hideous. How bad was the job market? In 1989, when I was in Boston, I interviewed for secretary jobs, receptionist job. Okay, let me remind you. Okay, that's how bad things was. It was so bad, so desperate that I went to job interviews, where I walked in the room and there was a dozen girls, college graduate girls, because I'm like, there's no way I'm getting a job. It's a receptionist job. It's all kind of attractive looking 20-something-year-old women here competing for this job, and here I am. There is zero chance for me to get this job. But I went through those interviews. That's how bad it was for me. Okay, I can tell you, it was absolutely horrific. So I went through that as a young 23-year-old man. Okay, I seen how bad things was. And then, of course, 2000, 13 years later, we had the dot-com bubble, the crash, the big bubble crash. Okay, the Nasdaq dropped something like over 50%. It was devastation, insanity. Okay, so in 2000, that's my second go around with a bubble and a financial crash. And guess what? 8 years later, 2008, 2009, guess what? That's my third time when the stock market dropped 37, 38%. And now we're in the fourth time, okay? We are 25% down. And can I see us go down another 5%? Easily. 10%? Why not? Show containment. Show some kind of medicine that has some kind of good impact on the virus, and sure, we will reverse. But until then, the longer we go, the more the pain. Okay, so now that we are here, we are in the middle of the crisis. Panic is everywhere. People gotta buy all the toilet tissue, all the hand sanitizer, all the who knows what. Remember, for months, I talk about how I detest reading the comments on my videos. I hope something crashed. I hope the market crashed. I hope this crash. I hope that crash. I said it many, many times, even in the last chat. I detest those kind of thinking, because they usually come from a very naive space, even for adults, even for grown men in their 40s that have been through this mess before. If you are 40, 30s, 50s, and you've been through two or three of these mess like me, you should never utter the word, I hope something crash. Welcome to it, okay? Because now that it's here, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You think you are so immune that somehow this whole mess in the economy and the stock market and the economy is going to escape you? You are going to go through this unscathed? Yeah. This is why I am so harsh on any comments on my videos in the past few years, that wishing, hoping for a crash. It doesn't matter whether it's the comic books that they talk about that they want to crash, or the stock market they want to crash. Trust me, it's never pretty, it's never pleasant, and it usually hit the people that wish for these things the hardest. The people that can least afford to have a bad economy, a bad crash, tend to be the one wishing for these things because somehow they think they are immune to it. Somehow when the world is crashing around them, they're going to be left standing. Yeah, I have been around long enough. I've seen it all. I have seen it since 1987 to know that almost everybody is going to be impacted next the last 2 or 3 chats, because I saw things unfold and potentially things can get ugly. We are here. Okay, so now let's talk about what's next. When it comes down to the comic market, the hardest thing now is look at how things behave and how things behave in the year past. A lot of people that I know like to refer to 2008 and say, oh, back in 2008. Even I talk about that in the past videos. In 2008, the comic book market did come down, but it was not crashing. Why is that? Why is it wrong to look back at 2008, 2009, or even 2010 and say, well, the comic book market was immune to the bad economy? Well, not immune is not the right word. It was not hit as hard. Why is that? Well, guess what? Back then, back in 2008, 2009, a lot of books didn't go crazy yet. Remember, what goes up too fast will crash hard. So in 2008, 2009, sure, a lot of big books was expensive already, but Amazing Fantasy 15 did not triple in the previous 3 or 4 years. So there's a lot of things not comparable. We are, for the first time in this hobby, I can say for the first time in this hobby, we are looking at a comic book market crash. Okay, really, it's the first time. It's not the same as, say, the 90s crash. We can't even equate the 90s crash with all the variants, and because who knows what was. Does anybody here know what happened to the big book like Amazing Fantasy 15 back in 1991, 1992? Really, nobody can make any kind of legit argument or discussion of what happened to the big key books back in the early 90s when the variant market crashed. So really, we are facing with a very unique situation right now in the past year with the comic book market. So it's really hard, okay? It's really hard to try to use the past as any kind of measurement that, oh, no, you can't. You absolutely cannot. Who that say, yep. One thing about, well, who that is happy that he did not buy Disney stock, because the last time he was on the chat, he asked me about buying Disney. I think Disney was over 100. Was it like 110 or 115 or something? It was over 100, right? More like 114. I'm trying to remember the stock price at that point. But now we are looking at the stock that is 15, potentially 15% lower. Yeah. Just remember, when a stock market crash, when anything crash, the pendulum, I'm trying to use the right word, the pendulum the one that swing, the little ball that swing, the pendulum always swing to the extreme on both sides. Okay, when the market is hot and bubbly, it always go too high, too much. How high? Hard for all of us to imagine. Lunacy. Okay, I was correct. Who that said 114th? Sometimes my memory is still decent. um, and then now we are swinging the opposite way, and it seemed extreme. It seemed ludicrous. Oh my God, Disney is at 90. The last time this stock was at 90 was what, 5 years ago? 4 years ago, right? It wiped out 3 years of gain like that, right? So yeah, it seemed extreme. The thing is, can it get cheaper? Often when things look so bleak and you think it can't go lower, it will. It has. It did. I have been, like I said, if this is your first go around with a stock market crash, watch it closely and see for yourself how crazy greed and fear plays in to the psyche. Okay, this is a perfect example for me to talk to people and show people that when it comes down to comic book market, we see a lot of lunacy. Okay, we see a lot of poor behaviors. We see a lot of stupidity. Well, guess what? It's the same thing. It's the same thing with any kind of investment. Stock market, same thing. Does anybody remember when Tesla about 2 weeks ago was hitting something like $900 a share? Yeah, remember that? Remember when Tesla went crazy? Yeah, it's lunacy. There is always extreme in any given market, whether it's comp market, stock market, is always extreme. And the one thing that I learned watching how the market behaved from 1985, when I first bought my first stock in 1985. Yes, I bought my first stock in 1985. From 1985 to now, is that when things seem so crazy, get out. And even if it goes up another 40% and you miss out on the 30% up or whatever it is, it's okay. Okay, when things seem so crazy, don't stick around and think that somehow the madness will continue. Usually the madness will not continue. It cannot continue. Okay, and time again, we see this play out. It is ugly, ugly. Okay, just take a look. Just take a look at Amazon. For those that have time, or if you listen and in your computer in front of you, take a look at the Amazon stock chart going back just 12 months. You see the stock fairly volatile, but it's in a fairly tight range. And then a month ago, it went from like 1,800 to 2,100. It jumped like $300-400 in like literally a week. It went parabolic. That's a term that stock trader, investors, speculators talk about, parabolic. When something go parabolic straight up, it's a huge red flag to get the F out. Okay, when Amazon went parabolic from 1,800 to like almost 2,200 or around that in like literally a week, get the F out. Same thing with Tesla. When Tesla jumped like a $200 gap in like a few days, get the F out. Okay, I can't say this enough. A lot of time, that's where a human make the mistake. Okay, when you see the big spike, oh my God, I see so many people doing the wrong thing. Okay, there's an old saying. I'm not sure if I'm gonna say it right, but I heard about this saying, this cliche, when I was a young trader or young professional in the investment field, is that you should be selling when you're smiling, and you should be buying when you're crying. Okay, that's the saying, or something like that. there's a cliche that I heard so many times as a trader. You know, if you're smiling because the stock is up big, sell. It's the last thing you should do is hold on to that stock and then go out and buy a nice Mercedes because you think paper gain is something fancy. Get the F out. Okay. Vernon Johnson, Bob Iger got the hell out quick. Well, he left the CEO job. That it's not. It's not as if like he sold all his stocks in Disney and cash out. It's no. It's Bob Iger leaving the CEO job and stay on with the other position. It's just timing. For those that follow Disney, Bob Iger was supposed to retire 2 years ago. There was a lot of talk about him retiring 2 years ago, and he decided to stick around for 2 or 3 more years. No, he didn't get out at the top. He still have hundreds of millions of Disney stock that he see it go down from 150 something to 90. So no, it's not any kind of genius move, anything like that. No, it's not. Back the Snake is here. Mifflap Music is here. So as far as Disney, I'm not surprised. You're talking about China closing down all the Disney park, Europe closing down Disney park, Tokyo closing down Disney park, all the movies not showing in China. Is it a surprise? Why is it a surprise? I mean, when this whole thing took place a couple of weeks ago and China shut down everything, that's why I told who that don't touch Disney. No, Disney is a no touch zone. It's they're gonna get squashed as far as earnings and all that stuff. It's a no touch. It's a complete mess. And for full disclosure, today I bought some, not Disney. I bought some S&P 500. Okay, did I buy? Did I wish I wait until the end of the day and buy it cheaper? Absolutely. Can't time everything, so I bought a few. I used up about a quarter of my cash available, and I bought some S&P 500 at 250 something. Okay, so yeah, it went. I think right now the S&P 500, the SPY is at 240 something ish, at least 248, 249 when the market closed. So yeah, I mean, it went down even more after I bought it, but that's okay. You can't time the bottom. My plan, I was telling a few friends that was emailing me all day, what you gonna do? Are you gonna sell? Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, no, gotta buy. I'm gonna stick to what I know, what works for me in the past 30 plus years as an investor. Now is the time to put my cash to work. Sure, I can't time the bottom. I'm gonna buy a little bit. I use up 10% of I use up a quarter of my cash position, and I bought some SPY. I'm not smart enough to figure out what stock to buy and which one is gonna rebound first. I was just gonna buy the SPY, and when I buy more, I will buy more about 5% lower. If it go down another 5%, I buy another quarter of my position, and then if it go down another 5%, another quarter, and then I have enough dry powder to use up if the stock market go down another 15% from here, which means that the market declined by 40%. Okay. The reason why I don't know when or how to time it, because for all we know, Monday they can announce, oh, we found a medicine that's gonna work very well, and the next thing you know, the market's gonna have a rip up, all that stuff. So you don't know. You can only buy a little bit on the way down, and hopefully things will work out in the long run. In Sarasota, Knights of Old, we have a couple people that have the virus. there's always a chance that they will close down the school. We got phone calls and email from the school system telling us that they watched the few kids closely. They quarantined a couple students already that was exposed to someone that had the virus. And so, I definitely see the restaurant around town a lot less busy. No doubt people are fearful. Okay. So it's not, we're not immune to this mess. Okay. It's, you know, it is what it is. And as Rex718 is saying in the chat room, he's thinking about canceling his consignment to the auction. I would say this is the last time. I would not advise anyone to put up any books for auction right now because the market is so bad right now. The likelihood that your books will go low is very high. Okay, so unless you need the cash, why sell anything right now? Okay, I have about 25 slabs consigned at my comic shop, but I'm not putting them out there for public consumption yet, because why bother? Right now the market is so bad. Like, why put anything else out there? It's I sold, let's say, so far this year, I consigned and sold about a dozen books with my comic shop with decent prices, so I'm pretty happy. But I'm also holding back a lot of the bigger books, because it's no point. What's the point of putting something else out there right now that it's gonna get you 20% below GPA or whatever it is? It's I don't need the cash. I'm in no hurry. Time to buy. It's so counterintuitive for human to act this way. Okay, it's always, it's hard. It's hard. I know. I've been there. I'm human too. But as I explained, for those that just joined me in the chat, I've been through 4 stock market crash. It's painful to go through. It's unpleasant to go through. It's depressing to go through. But go through, I did, and the market survive and thrive and go higher each and every time. Sometimes it takes 2 years. Sometimes it takes 2 years to recoup what the market gave up and then go higher. But I was trying to explain to a friend today. He was like, I can't stand the pain. I cannot stand the pain. I told him, if you sell right now, okay, if you sell right now and the market go down 10% lower, you will feel vindicated. You will feel like you did the best and the right thing to do. Okay. You'll feel like a genius. I saved myself 10% of pain. My question to him was, when the market go down 10% and you're out of the market, are you smart enough? Are you brave enough to get back in at that point? History has shown that those that blown out their portfolio don't get back in, or they get back in at the wrong time and they miss out. I know one person for sure. I know a person that left the market in 2008, 2009. He was blown out. Okay, he lost half his money. He was devastated. He wanted to puke. He was sickened to his stomach that he lost almost half his wealth in 2008, 2009. And then for the past 10 years, he failed to put the money back to work. He sat and watched the market rebound in 2010, and he keep saying it's not, the economy is still so bad, I'm not buying, I don't believe in the recovery. Do you know how the market performed since the bottom of 2009? It went up something like 300+%. He missed out completely on a 300% move. He's devastated. And he, for the past 5 years, That's all I hear from him. I hope it crash. I hope stock market crash. I'm just like, why? Because you ain't gonna buy. If if you didn't buy when it was a lot lower in 2009, what makes you think a 20% crash right now is gonna bring you into the market? Stop talking stupid. Oh, he did not like it when I bring him the truth. Okay, I'm like, you're wishing for a crash? Last I checked, you missed out on a 300% move up because you was crying at in 2009. So let's be real. Yes. Now, for those that have time and patience and money and cash, right now you can pick up some crazy deals on eBay, especially in auction. All kind of stuff. People are blowing shits out. It's gonna be a lot of good bargains to be had. And if you're patient in the last 5 years, you can literally buy things cheaper than you could 5 years ago. Okay, I can see that coming. Okay, in a lot of my market comparison, I was showing how many books are back to 2018, 2017 level. I wouldn't be surprised if books go back to 2015 level. Okay, there's no reason why it couldn't. Okay, that's the thing with the market. On a down market, whatever you think is the low, it can go much lower. Okay, that's just the way things are. Things can always go too high, and then they can always go way lower than you can think it can. That's just the way it is because fear is very powerful, just as greed is. Hello, Captain Pop Culture Fun. Hello from the UK. Who has a comic shop? What's the name of your comic shop? DCNY Astoria asks. I'm not. Did you get the answer? Blah 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 blah. A Hook 181 7.0 sold for 25.79. It's cheap, but it's not super cheap. I can tell you, in late 2018, or I'm trying to remember, is it late? Yeah, I think it was late 2018. I saw a 7.0 copy near the peak of the market for 3,300. Yes, it's insane. That's when I know the market was insane because I bought that book literally a year and a half earlier for 1,500. Yeah, to buy something for 1,500 and be able to flip it for 3,300. Bye bye, bye bye, a hard bye bye. So 25.79 is not expensive. It's certainly 800 bucks or more below the high GPA of 2018, no doubt. But can it get lower? Yeah, you know. Well, see, RAG 718 confirm it. GPA is around 2,500. Yeah, it's about where it is. It's not super cheap. It's cheaper than it was last year or 2018, but it's not. Now, if you say 2,000, I'd be like, yeah, I buy it for 2,000. I would. If I can get a 7.0 for 2,000 or less, I would. As far as where the market is heading and where the economy is heading, I think it's funny because last year we have a disconnect between the stock market and the comic book market, right? The stock market was up 20 plus percent, yet the comic book market for many big keys was down 20 to 25%. Well, now the stock market is crashing. The question is, how will the comic book market behave? Okay, hard for me to say. I can't imagine it going up. but can but do I see the comic book key market crashing 25% lower from here? I don't think so. I could be wrong. You know, I don't know. Okay, it will be an interesting watch as I follow how the market behave in the next auction. Hey, next week, Comic Link could kick off another auction. You know how things are in Comic Link. Every month, they're gonna have 3,000 to 5,000 slabs, if not even more, hitting the market. So we'll see how that auction will go. I'm very curious to see how the market report will be for March of 2020. Because February 2020 was not so bad, right? For those that watch my market report, it wasn't ugly. There was some pocket of strength, especially in the pre-code horror. Uh, but we'll see what happened in March. Okay, now that the stock market is reeling, crashing, woo, we'll see. I have no idea. I I couldn't. I can't imagine it go up, but I can't predict how low it can go. Toy Radiation asks, "What are three books you're paying very close attention to?" I don't really have any particular books that I pay close attention to, but for sure the big keys, like the Amazing Fantasy 15, the X-Men 1. For sure, the X-Men 1, Fantastic Four #1, because there's a lot of hope built in those books because of the movie stuff, and I think the move in those books are already over. Okay, those are the last thing I would tell people to buy. Okay, I would not tell anyone to go out there and buy a Fantastic Four #1 because the movie is coming. No. Can the book move higher if they announce a movie? Sure. Same thing with X-Men 1. Well, can the book move higher? Sure. But I would advise people to gamble and invest in those books. But I will watch them closely for sure. You know why? So I can sell my extra copies. Bianchi asked, does anybody remember how the comic book market behaved in 2 or 3 months following 9/11, 2001? I was buying, but I can't remember. I was buying, but I was not buying a lot of big books. So I can't really remember if there was any kind of huge price downward on those things. So I don't know. Other people can remember. I'm sure if you talk to dealers, longtime dealers like Bob Storm or Metropolis or those big boys, they probably can tell you stories on how the market behaved. But as far as for me, I was buying on eBay during that time, but it was just cheap stuff. By cheap stuff, I was buying stuff for like $50, high grade silver age keys that I add to my collection a lot in those years. Ocasio Consulting just said that Disneyland just announced closure from March 14 until the end of the month. Yeah, it's not a surprise. I mean, I saw on the news a lot of people get upset when they shut down the NBA game, and I'm just like, it's a game, okay? Most likely you get a refund. You know, I am pragmatic in that I put health, life, family way over a game. People like all upset because they cancel a basketball game. It's the freaking game. I know a lot of people still discount this thing like, it's nothing, it's just the flu. Like any other flu, thousands of people die every year of the flu. I'm no medical expert. I talked to my wife the past couple of days and I said the one thing that, for sure kind of debunk a lot of the talk about, well, one thing is different, not debunk. One thing is different about this virus compared to the typical flu is that we all know flu tend to be seasonal, right? They tend to thrive in the colder, cooler weather. That's why flu shots are given in the fall and people get the flu in the winter. Well, guess what? Singapore, you know how hot Singapore is right now? Singapore is way hotter than Florida, hot and humid. Okay, we have families that travel to Singapore once in a while, every year. It's hot, it's muggy. They got the virus. Right now in Australia, you know what season Australia has right now? Dead summer. They got the virus. So guess what? This virus is not going to go away because summer's coming. Okay, so whatever you want to think or want to compare with the regular flu, just know that it is not going to go away because summer is coming. Now, time will tell. I'm not going to sit here and tell people that poo-poo this whole thing like overblown because it's like the flu and, every year thousands of people die and nobody make a big deal. Well, when this is all said and done, we will see the numbers and see how bad it is compared to the flu or not. I have no idea. I'm not going to. You're talking to a guy that have not had a flu shot in 20 plus years. Okay, so trust me, I'm not, I caught the flu, I think twice in my entire lifetime. And once was because I took the flu shot and then I got really sick for 2 weeks after that because of the flu shot. And after that, I'm just like, forget the flu shot. I don't get flu. I stay home. I'm a hermit. I'm not exposed to any virus out there. Nice of all. I'm not. I don't really know what the. Can you tell us some price on Hope 181, AF15, or FF1 or 48? Until I see it, I can't tell you how low it can go. I'm not buying. Okay, let me make it very clear. I'm not buying those books right now, but I will keep my eyes closed. I mean, you have GPA. I don't need to tell you what it is. I mean, if something is 30% or 40% below GPA, then yeah, would I gamble and buy a copy if it's 30 or 40% below GPA? Absolutely. Heck, if I think buying something 40% below fair market value is a good deal, then why would I not buy a book that's already slab 40% lower than what it is right now, right? But at the same time, let me put it this way. If the market go down 15% from here, if the stock market go down 15% from here, I rather use my cash to do what? Buy the stock market. F the comic books. Let me get this very straight. I would rather invest in the stock market any given day of the week. Okay, so will I watch the comic market? Absolutely. But if the stock market crashed 15, 20% lower from where it is right now, I would rather take all my cash and buy stocks. Midflap Music says, same here, no flu shots. Yeah, so when it comes down to the flu, I am the first person to say, I'm not worried, I'm not scared about the flu because I only get the flu twice as long as I can remember. But I am pragmatic. I look at things and take it for what it is. I don't poo-poo the flu or the virus because I work at home. I stay at home. I don't do anything. Okay. My extent of public exposure is driving my son to the bus stop 5 days a week, go to the grocery store. That's about it. Okay, and we go out to eat. Sure, we go out to eat once or twice a week. But now that the virus is here, we likely just do takeout, drive-through, or cook at home. So Knights of Old, there's no way for me to know what market year do you think the comics fair market value will stabilize. I can't. I don't know. I don't know. And to be very honest, I don't really care. I'm glad that I have sold a lot of my books over the past few years, and God's willing, I will keep on liquidating the remaining books and leave the hobby in 4 or 5 years. That's my plan, to be honest. I don't care. The hobby will go on without me. That I will say. My thought on Walking Dead #1, I don't really have any thoughts on that book. I won't invest in it. Good luck to people that want to invest in it. Hey, I didn't want to touch it many years ago. I had a copy. I had a 9.8 that I sold for 2,200, something like that. And then I saw it go to like 3,000, right? Now, do I care? Do I sit there and say, "Oh man, I I gave I gave up too soon. I missed out on making another $800 on the books." Last I checked, that book had been around 1,700 ish, right, for the past year or two. So it's just like trading stocks. Once I sell something, I move on. I don't really care. I have no interest in that book whatsoever. It can go to 10,000 for all I care. Don't know, don't care. What is my thought on Marvel Spotlight #5? A cool book. I like Ghost Rider. I like that book. It's not a book. You know, I said this all the time. If you can buy something for cheap, I have no problem of anyone buying any keys if you can buy for cheap. By cheap, I mean 30% below fair market value, whatever the fair market value is. Okay. Whenever that is, if you can buy a copy 30% below fair market value, congratulations, enjoy it. Okay. Because even if that book is crashing or crash next year or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. You likely did fine. Okay. So on top of that, it's about why you want to buy something beside the point that it is cheap, right? I'm sure this is an old cliche that have been tossed around a million times. Buy what you love. Okay, so just make sure you buy something that you enjoy, buy a character that you care for, and buy something on the cheap. You combine all those elements, and likely you'll be happy with the purchase in the long run. Okay, I have learned over the past many years that I don't care for a lot of books. I mean, I love the hobby. Make no mistake, I love the hobby, but I also learned that I don't need to have physical things to enjoy the hobby. Okay, nostalgia. I'm fine with the nostalgia thing with the hobbies, but I don't need to buy stuff. Definitely don't need to buy stuff I don't care about for the sake of having something. Everyone's different. There's a lot of people in this hobby that love it, obsessed with it, and they can't stop buying. That's fine. It's their money. I'm not gonna sit here and tell people how to spend their money. Okay, I'm just telling you that I have moved on and I learned to care a lot less with the market. Um, but that's fine. I still enjoy the market. I still enjoy the hobby. Make no mistake. But I bought a lot less last year, and it just happened, as I talk about in other videos. It just happened to coincide with the down market that we have this year. I already curtailed my buying last year prior to the crash now because if I buy something, I had to put a lot of effort into selling. And I just beyond the point of want to spend a lot of time selling. No problem, DCNY Astoria. Uh, what book do you have the most copies of? Toy Radiation asks. Ooh, yikes. Um, I sold so many duplicates, but if I had to guess what book I still have a lot of duplicates copy of, it would be Batman 251. Uh, I think I still have something like 6 copy of that book, Batman 251, and same thing with X-Men 94. I think I have probably 6 or 7 copies of that book. Other than that, I have been doing a good job in getting rid of a lot of my duplicates. Like at one point, I had 4 copies of House of Secret 92, sold 3 of them 2 years ago. Don't miss them. So yeah, I have been good at selling a lot of my duplicates over the past 2 years, and I will continue to wind down the collection. But yeah, it's a process that I understand. It takes times, and that's why I don't want to buy. The more I buy, the more work it is to sell. So I rather just focus on selling, and that's my main focus this year so far. It is an awesome book, Batman 251. I love that book. Yeah, so I have like 6 copies of that books, including a double cover. Yeah, that's one of my prized double cover books. What will I miss the most about the hobby when I'm out? Good question, Knights of Old. Uh, hmm. For sure, I will not miss buying. I will not miss selling because it is work. Um, hmm. I might not miss anything, to be honest, because that's why I'm content and okay with selling a lot of my books. Because if I feel like I'm gonna miss anything, I wouldn't sell so many of my books. So I don't think I will miss anything about the hobby when I'm gone. Okay, when the time comes and I'm done selling, I have a plan. For those that are new to my channel, I have a plan to reduce the remaining 3,000 plus books to 1,000 over the next 5 years. I announced this plan last year. So basically, I plan to sell roughly 400 or so books a year, so that in 5 years, I'm down to the 1,000. And then hopefully, if I have to, I will weed down that 1,000 to another 500. Okay, so I won't miss anything. To be very honest, I don't think I will miss anything. So far, I have not missed any books that I sold, and I sold a lot of stuff. So I'm pretty sure when the time comes and I'm selling everything, it's over. It's done with. Uh, Jeremy Kovac asked, "Have you ever shown your action one in a video?" The answer is no. The answer is no. I have not. It will make its appearance eventually. When I finish my 500 Keepers series, whenever that last video is going to be, the last book, the last book that's going to be shown in the final 500 will be the action one. Okay. I already know. I already know what the last few books going to be. I think most people will can guess it. It's going to be the action one. It's going to be the Batman one. It's going to be the Wonder Woman one. It's going to be a whole bunch of major keys. It's not going to be a shocker. Okay, for those that follow my channel long enough, you have seen the Tech 31, the Tech 33, the Tech 35. Those are keepers. That there is no Tech 27. Unless I hit the lottery, there will be no Tech 27. There will be no Superman 1. Those are the 2 books I do not have that I wish I have. I never care for All Star 8, so it's not a book that I care to add to my collection. But If I win the lottery and have all kind of money to burn, sure, Superman 1, take 27. Indeed. Nice Post said the correct answer is us. Um, some of you, not all of you. Trust me, not all of you, but some. Toy radiation. Oh, I just look at the time. 5:13. My goodness, I will end this chat in 2 minutes. Is there one book you will hold on to when everything else is gone? The answer is I plan to hold on to the final 500 as long as I don't need to sell them. Okay, if I have plenty of money to enjoy my retirement, then I have no reason to sell them. But someday, maybe 15 years from now, 20 years from now, when I'm in my 70s, if my son tell me, Dad, I don't care about these books, I'm not going to keep them when you are gone, then I will sell everything. Okay, keep that in mind. There will be not one book left in my collection if my son tell me someday that, Dad, I'd rather you sell the books, put the money into my kids, your grandkids, college education, whatever that's need to do. That's fine. But it's gonna be more about what my son want to do with the books 20 years from now. Okay, it's because God's willing, with good health and good finance, I shouldn't have to sell anything to feed myself. So more likely, it will be his decision on what he wants to do with the books. If he want to keep them, that's fine. It will be his when I'm gone. But if he want to sell them and have the cash to do whatever he wants for his family, it's up to him. I won't miss it. I will not miss it. Well, anyhow, folks, stay safe. I have been on for 1 hour. Stay calm. My best advice to those that are freaked out about both the coronavirus: A, wash your hand, don't touch your face, don't touch your eye, don't rub your eyes. Okay, make sure you wash your hands, especially if you go in the publics. Wash your hands, wash your face, stay away from people, stay at a distance from people. Yeah, be smart. As far as the stock market, if you don't need the cash, then do nothing. There is nothing to freak out about. We have been through this. I have been through this now the fourth time, and I survived. And the market went much higher each and every time. Okay, so there is nothing. It's uneasy. It is scary. It's depressing. I'm not gonna discount that kind of impact on all of us. I'm not immune to this stuff. Okay, but I have been through it enough to tell people that it will be okay. The sun will shine tomorrow. Tomorrow could be another ugly day, but the sun will shine. Okay, and it will. You just can't. Um, if anything that you can take away is, if this is your first go around with this mess, if you're in your 20s and this is the first time you see a stock market crash, job loss, recession, layoff, bank trouble, all kind of stuff. If this is your first go around and you are in your 20s, keep in mind that this won't be the last time. Okay, it will happen again, most likely every 10 years or so. Can't avoid it. Okay, cannot avoid it. This is the fourth time since 1980. So guess what? Yeah, every 10 years or so. It might take 12 or 13 years like this time, but it will happen. It has it. You can't avoid it. Okay, those that think that somehow we can go through life skipping recession, skipping a crash, it will happen. So take notes on how things unfold in the next few years, in the next few months, and take that lesson going forward, because 10 years from now, 12 years from now, 15 years from now, you might face the same situation. And hopefully you learn a hard lesson this time, so that in 10 years or 12 years, when you go through another one of these cycles, you're not going to be that fool that utter that stupid phrase, I hope it crash. Yeah, you know how much I detest that phrase, okay? I have blasted each and every person that said that phrase, because yeah, you hope it crash until it crash, and then you curl up and call for mama. Happen every time, okay? This is my fourth time. I can guarantee you, those that hope for a crash at least able to afford a crash, okay? So don't hope for something, okay? What you wish for might not be all that great, okay? Because it's just not. So be prepared for a crash. Don't hope for a crash. Make sense? Yeah. Anyhow, thanks everybody. Be safe. Okay, I didn't plan to have this chat today, but I figure it's a good time to get on and talk to people to calm some nerves. If you need some nerve calming, you can always email me at etanick@gmail.com. My phone has been blowing up all week of people panicking, and it's not easy. It's not easy to tell people to calm the F down. Anyhow, time for me to get ready and prepare for dinner for the family. It's spring break, and we are stuck here in Sarasota. Nowhere to go. Yeah, it's going to be a boring spring break, but I'd rather be boring than dead.